Brad is now back at the State Department. As I hope many of you know, as a senior advisor, and we had Rebecca Nolan with us yesterday, who is the new person most directly engaging on the KP. Brad is involved with both gold and diamonds, and there is a lot of news from DC, so he is going to give us an update, and you'll get me. And thank you all.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Gosh, it's scary to see myself on a big screen. I apologize in advance.
Can you speak into your mic, please?
I can't hear.
Can you speak into your mic, please?
I am.
That's better.
Okay. You want me to just go, Lisa? Do you need to say anything?
Just go. I've done it.
Okay. So thanks so much to Lisa, Aaron, the IAC team for inviting me, allowing me to provide some closing remarks. I'm very sorry I was not able to make it to New York in person. I know you're at the end of 2 very busy and thought-provoking days and have already heard a lot of specific ideas and details and recommendations. So to keep things interesting, I hope, Lisa and I thought it may be best if I channel some remarks that a few of you may have heard already, but hopefully still remain meaningful, and I think will be new for most of you. They're philosophical, maybe a bit controversial, although I don't know if they will be for this audience, about why we keep hitting roadblocks to true and lasting change in gold and diamonds. I want to be clear, these are my own personal views, not the official views of the US government, but as many of you know, I have been at this in one way or another in government, both on sanctions and responsible sourcing, in civil society and in the private sector for more than 15 years in both gold and diamonds, and so these remarks are the result of a lot of working, learning, and reflecting. And although IAC pushes the envelope more than just about any other gathering each year, I do have the sense that we, as a kind of general group, keep having versions of the same discussions year after year, saying and doing similar things, learning more through reports and panels and assessments, and feeling a bit better about ourselves, but not really changing the systems or the structures underneath. In recent months, I have spent a lot of time connecting that core we're not doing enough feeling to what I've noticed from my wife's work, which is personal healing and wellness, specifically as an acupuncturist and with Amazonian plant medicine from Peru. So many people come to my wife and they'll say, my back hurts. Please make my back not hurt. And my wife will say, okay, I can help your back with a treatment today in the next few weeks, and it will hurt less. Or you can come on a journey with me over many years to explore your life, your family history, your past, your habits, your secrets, your activities, and over time, through very hard work, we won't only heal your back, but we'll get to the root of why it hurts, and we can transform who you are by changing the system that you have created for yourself. And in the end, most people just want the needles and to make their back hurt less. But some people go on the journey, And there are some key features to that path of change, which I'll mention as important lessons for all of us. And in some, I think most in the industry also take the short term, like my back hurt less approach. We know immediate problems in gold and diamonds. We even know some of the deeper ones. We identify them, we report on them, we talk about them, we make some changes at the margins, we give each other awards, and things continue as they have been. So that's not what this gathering in particular, and certainly not the vision that Lisa has, I think, developed for many of us overall. That's not what we're looking for. So what do we need for that? And there are 8 kind of very quick points I'll make on what the feature I have seen in my wife's work is to transformational change. So first, you got to be honest and open. You have to be completely transparent with yourself, with those around you, about what is working, and more importantly, about what isn't. To quote one of my favorite hip hop lyrics ever from Chance the Rapper, quote, "Sometimes the truth don't rhyme." That is, the truth doesn't always come out clear and the way you want it, but you still have to wrestle with the fact that it's the truth. 2, be vulnerable. Be open in a way that invites response and connection. Be open to two-way public reporting and conversations, not just private discussions and one-way declarations, which is certainly the hallmark of the industry. 3, you got to do hard and painful work. You have to ask hard questions, make hard decisions in response to difficult information or data you receive. Due diligence about who we are as people or about companies is useful only when you use it to address the hard issues, not just to paper over the easy ones. 4, intersectionality, interconnectivity. It's well known that most issues that we have in our lives are connected to something else, and it is a well-known truism, but it can never be said enough that we need to stay out of the silos. When your back hurts, it's not just because your back hurts, it's because there's a lot of other things going on. 5, don't be committed to an outcome. That is, you have to go into these processes with no guarantee of results and no set expectation of what that is, but because the process of change is what matters and will ultimately determine where we get to. 6, there can be no specific time frame. So change isn't bound by an annual reporting cycle. It's not bound by budget cycles. Change is a constant. 7, accountability. You have to have systems of consequences for bad action, whether for its improvement for those who intend and need correction, or for those who are simply not acting in good faith. And finally, and this is something that I think is certainly a hallmark of IAC, is community. True change is rarely done on your own, and you need the presence and grace of others to stay on the path, which is why gatherings like the IAC are so important. As industry, all companies need to do more to be open and honest, to take on hard projects with no guarantee of success, to acknowledge failure along the way, which has always been hard for an industry that is rooted in selling joy and love. As civil society, we need more engagement for improvement rather than demands for impossible achievements. And as government, where I sit now, we need to support companies and NGOs on this type of path through new approaches to development, to accountability, and to policy making, and to be humble in our own limitations and wise with our authorities, something I certainly try to live by every day. Skip a little bit and just get to the U.S. government and sort of why I'm what I'm working on now. In recent months, we've been doing a lot to push towards this deeper level of change. Gold and diamonds are important areas for growth and responsible investment and development, as I know you've all been discussing, and they can also continue to be rife with exploitation and profit by bad actors, whether it's the role of gold for the government of Russia as it prosecutes its unjust war in Ukraine, the Wagner Group and armed actors across sub-Saharan Africa, the myriad criminal actors across Latin America involved in deforestation. So how do we respond as the U.S. government? Well, we're trying to use a nuanced and multifaceted approach that goes beyond, again, making our back hurt a little bit less. First, there's development programming. Many of you know about programs that my colleagues at USAID, other parts of the State Department, and Labor are using to continue to develop extensive programs around specific countries, around specific issues like mercury usage, and forced labor, and those are ultimately, of course, the things that bring transformative change. Advisories. We issued a unique business risk advisory related to the gold sector in June, focused on the risks related to gold across sub-Saharan Africa. It was a unique advisory because it covered a single sector and a broad geography and highlighted not just risks, but also opportunities and importance of responsible investment and sustainable development, given the shared interest we have in a supply chain that supports people and communities from doing well. I imagine many at the gathering have read it, but if not, please do so. It's in line, we hope, with the kind of nuanced approach you all have, and hopefully supports engagement with government, with civil society, and with others of a different kind. If you have any questions or you have thoughts about some of the ideas that are raised in there, please reach out to me or others in the US government. But we're trying to paint a complicated picture of a very complicated situation to lead to, as I mentioned, complicated solutions. 3, sanctions. This is obviously more directly where I sit at the moment, but we have issued sanctions mainly through asset freezes of individual actors engaged in illicit exploitation of gold, including with respect to the Wagner Group in the Central African Republic, the UAE, and Russia. We've done things like establish a sectoral sanctions approach to gold in Nicaragua. And of course, all of sanctions are always focused on identifying specific bad people and bad companies that you should look out for and do extensive due diligence to ensure they are not in your supply chains. But these are coupled with advisories because the advisories give you the typology. They give you the broader picture. As you look at the individual actor, you can't stop there. You have to go broader and understand all of this. Finally, engagement and conversation and ongoing work together. We hope to maintain engagement with the industry. My boss, Ambassador O'Brien, led a roundtable on the gold sector in January. We've led a couple with the diamond industry over recent months. We've had a lot of ongoing discussions and meetings here and in trading centers around the world. We welcome that. We encourage it. Please reach out to us if you have ideas or requests for more of that engagement. And of course, as I'm sure you've talked about this week, we hope to soon have a final G7 restriction on Russian diamonds, which frankly hits at all of the above. In order for that initiative to be successful, it's going to require development and sanctions and more guidance and advisory and a lot of engagement in order to hopefully have that be what we hope it will be, which is the kind of deep structural change to the diamond sector and hopefully the rest of the industry that we've all been searching for. Let me just sort of end by saying, you know, if we continue as an industry to only go for low-hanging fruit, you know, you never climb the top of the tree to get to the ripest stuff. It's hard. There are risks. There are legal risks. Company lawyers, boards, everyone needs to be involved in this type of change, not just the people who sit in the room right there now. But I'll close by just saying, for now, I think we are mostly making our back hurt a bit less, and that's certainly for the good. All of this work is not for waste. And for me, as someone who's just turned 50, I feel my back plenty these days, and having it hurt less is all something I'm hopeful for. But it's not enough. And so I hope that in the future, in this gathering and others, we can keep the principles of true transformative change in mind and find a different way forward. So let me stop there. Hopefully that was helpful and a good way to end what I'm sure were 2 very productive days of discussions. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Okay, as you know, I would probably go on longer, but the time is tight. So I want to first off say thank you all for being here, and thank you all for being here for the part that also addresses vision. I hope we have throughout the 2 days, but training for the future is a critical topic. There are a number of words that we have heard quite often throughout these conversations. Among them, sustainability, government, sustainable development, that's a phrase, craft, artisanry, intersectionality, responsible, global vision, regional particularities, benefits in country, models, irreplicability, risk, regulation. Whole lot of stuff that is floating around that's not necessarily as clear as we need it to be, not even as much as we would like it to be. So in thinking about next year, when I was tinkering in my head, I was thinking, oh, wouldn't it be great if we could say Brave New World? But frankly, I think what we're really dealing with is expanding horizons. And I'm so grateful to everybody who has participated over the past 2 days, because that is really one of the things that has happened, is that the horizons have been expanded. So, new models, new definitions, new contexts, new approaches, new vision, new artistry. These are just a few of the things that we have discussed. New sources, that's another thing. New approaches to what we define as and consider responsible, ethical. These are some of the challenges. We are committed to this. I would love to say we'll be back before next year in person, but we may or may not. It all depends on what we're able to do. But we will be back in a year in person, and we are working very hard to sustain our webinar series as well. Happily, there's been a great demand for that. And I want to thank everybody who has given us advice, counsel, because there have been a lot. Many of you are in this room. I'm not going to list you because we would be waking up tomorrow here. And once again, to thank our sponsors, because quite frankly, as we heard in the discussion about artisanal gold and the fact that, money is an issue, it is. And we thank you for helping to make this possible, whilst not dictating what it should be. And that's something that we cleave to with passion, which is trying to do the right thing and to cleave to a vision with integrity. So thank you all. So grateful to have had you with us. So looking forward to all that we can do together and that we will do together, and where we will find ourselves tomorrow, in a month, in a year.